Good morning, boys and girls. For today, we're going to travel to Italy. Okay, so make sure you have that passport. Okay, all right. So turn to page 86 in your history books. We will fly over more of the beautiful Alps on our way to visit Italy. Italy is shaped like a boot. So you look at that picture right there in the corner to the right, it looks like a map with this covered in red. That's Italy, and as you can see, it's shaped like a boot. Now, the big island at the toe of Italy is also a part of this country. It looks a little like the boot is kicking a football. Let's move on to Rome. This is one of Mr. Cole's dream vacations. Rome is Italy's capital city. Excuse me. It is large. It is a large, very old city. In Rome, you will see beautiful fountains and the remains of very old buildings right next to new modern buildings. The old buildings were built by the Romans about the time when Jesus lived on earth. Here's some additional facts we may not know. Rome, as you look at that picture on page 86, that's called a Colosseum. Now, the Colosseum actually was a building from when Jesus was on earth, so they still may have some of those buildings when Jesus was on earth, okay? Now, there's something called the Appian Way. Now, that's a road traveled by those who lived with Jesus was on this earth, and that road is still used today. So, a certain road that those who traveled with Jesus back when he was alive, that road is still here and is used today as well. Now, Genoa, that's the city of Christopher Columbus, and we all should know who Christopher Columbus was, since we all history majors. As we move on, there's also a tunnel, which is the world's largest tunnel. It connects Italy and Switzerland through the Alps. So they have a certain tunnel that connects Italy and Switzerland. That's a very big tunnel. Remember we traveled to Switzerland a while back? Now, if we didn't know, Italy is located on Europe. And Europe is a what? What is Europe? It is a continent. We all should know there are 7 continents, and Italy is located on Europe. Now, is Italy an island? That's a good question I have for you all. What you think about is Italy an island? Okay, just think. My island is a land surrounded by water. Now, we should remember that an island is a land surrounded by water. I'm sorry, completely surrounded by water. Now, looking at that map of Italy, does it look like it's completely surrounded or there's some land? Okay. And also, as we move on, what you think about what are the Italian Alps before we go to the next page? What do you think the Italian Alps? I think that's beautiful mountains. That sounds like beautiful mountains. That's what the Italian Alps are. Now, as we move on to Venice City, and we see that picture right there at the top corner to the right, like the building is leaning. It's actually built that way. Now, Venice is a city that has little rivers instead of streets. The rivers are called canals. It would be fun to ride down a canal in a gondola, and that's a long, narrow boat. Next, we will visit Pisa and see the famous Leaning Tower of Pisa. So that's that picture to the right. It's called the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I'm going to stop right there. As you look at the bottom of that boat right there, that's called a gondola. Let's continue reading. Now, the land under this bell tower is not solid. So, it sinks a little bit every year. Just imagine, every year it sinks. So that makes the tower lean a little bit more each year. Here's some additional facts about Venice. Venice has many canals and is built on 118 islands. Now, the motorboats and gondolas travel on the canals. Now, some Italian pastimes, some things people like to do for fun here in Italy are soccer, which is the favorite sport. As you notice in Europe, soccer is a major sport in Europe. Also, they like basketball, playing basketball, skiing, and also taking a walk before dinner. Italian children like to keep crickets as pets. That's very different. I prefer a dog or maybe a lizard as a pet, but over there they like to keep crickets. Now, students, would you all like to keep crickets as pets if your parents allowed you? All right, so that's something to think about. But let's move on. Now, many Italian families live in apartments in cities, in towns, because there's not enough room for houses. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of people there. There's not enough room for houses. So many people live in apartments. As we move on, let's go back to talk about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. As we said, that's a bell tower. It is one of the world's best known landmarks. And like I said before, it sinks every year because the land is not solid.